welcome to my mobility routine. I like to start off in the V-sit position. So from here, I'm just gonna gently lean over each leg, looking for where I'm tight. I like to flex the foot, and this allows me to really target the hamstring. You wanna take deep breaths and relax your central nervous system. So I'm doing more of an active stretch rather than a passive stretch, and I do that at the end of my session after my strength training, after my cardio. But first, just to get things loosened up, I'll do some more active stretching. So from here, I'll just kind of lean back onto my hands and go into a different position. Next one I'll do is the butterfly stretch. Best thing to do is keep your chest up and keep your hips elevated and allow gravity to kind of just take you down to where you're at. From there, you can lean forward as long as you keep your chest up and not this like huge hunched flex position. That's not really gonna help you. I'll grab my feet and kind of slowly go down. You can also kind of push yourself down, but I would advise against that. Okay, from here, I will go into kind of a bridge position or a crab position. And I'm just gonna let my legs drop into that 45-degree angle shin box. This is still going to kind of activate my internal and external rotation. This is really important, especially if you're into martial arts or movement art. Make sure to keep your chest up and your shoulders back and down. Okay, so I'm gonna go cross-legged for now for a second. Again, sit up, always sitting up. One hand down, and I'm gonna take my arm up to the ceiling and laterally stretch my spine. This is going to contract one side and stretch the other side. You're mainly targeting your obliques and your QL, which is in your low back on either side. And you're also laterally flexing the thoracic spine and your shoulders. Okay, I'm going to take what's called in yoga Lord of the Fish. If I pull in, I'm stretching a little bit of my glute, a little bit of my hip, but I'm going to use this position to get some leverage and twist. Other side. If you're new to a mobility flexibility routine, I'd recommend getting some cardio to warm up your body before you attempt a stretch routine, kind of to increase synovial fluid and blood flow to your joints. That way you don't injure yourself while stretching. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the 90-90 position. I'm going to sit up again. I'm getting internal rotation on this leg and external rotation on this leg. At first, when you get used to this position, you can just stop here and kind of lean back with your arms to feel the stretch in the inner part of the thigh. That's that internal rotation stretch. And then shift over here and lean forward to get a stretch in your glutes and the external rotation. Okay, and then switch, do the other side. So I'm leaning back and I'm leaning forward. Okay, so now I'll go into the drill. Keep your chest up, shoulders back, sit up. You want to really be intentional with the 90-90. So that means going slow and creating resistance against the ground. Okay, so now we're going to go into a little bit of a yoga routine. I'm going to start off in the quadruped position. And I'm going to start off with my cat camel. This is going to increase blood flow to my thoracic spine. Do that a few times. Now we're going to go into the downward facing dog. Okay, so engage your feet, lift up
into an A-frame position. You want to extend from the shoulders. So that means you want to elevate the scapula to create space. And then you want to bend your knees and push your hips back to get that A-frame position. And you can slowly extend your knees back. Now we want to bicycle, kind of pump the legs to actively stretch each hamstring. And from here, we're going to go into the plank position, pushing from the shoulders. Get ready. We're going down into a cobra. You want to turn your hands out, open up your chest, bring your shoulders back, and engage the tops of your feet against the ground. Take a deep breath. Make sure to squeeze your glutes. This is going to stretch out your chest and strengthen your low back. Take a deep breath in and push back into child's pose. This will decompress your low back. And back up to the quadruped position. Okay, let's work on some quadruped movements. Hopefully your wrists are already warm. If they're not, we can do quick wrist mobilization. By sitting in this tabletop position, I'm gonna put my wrists on the ground and shift my weight from each wrist to each wrist in a circular pattern in one direction, then in the other direction. Okay, do that a few times to warm up the wrists. A lot of you may have wrist injuries, a history of wrist injuries, so you gotta be careful and take care of them while we get into a mobility practice. All right, let's get into some ground movements. So we're gonna start in the quadruped position, AKA the bear. From here, we're gonna do a kick pass through. So from the bear, I'm gonna shift my weight onto this leg and that hand and kick my leg through. Okay, and then switch. This was found in breakdancing and in capoeira. Make sure to keep the stabilizer arm strong. This is also going to help with rotational power. And this is a good workout. Okay, back to the center. Okay, let's work on some crawling techniques. So we're gonna go into bear, and we're just gonna make sure to keep your shoulders strong by protracting, right? Okay, we're gonna do some crawling, contralateral crawling. So lift up your right hand and your left foot, and then the opposite. Make sure to keep your butt down. Just a few steps forward and then a few steps back. If you lack mobility, try to see about going wider. You can also shift your hips each time. I'm gonna imagine imitating a cat or a bear, but I like the idea of imitating a cat. Let's go into a little bit of a cool down. So coming back to the mat, taking a seat, we'll go into the half lotus position, which stretches out your glutes. Taking deep breaths and switching. Deep breaths. And V-sit. Sit up. Let's go down the middle. over one leg and the other. Cross-legged. Put one hand down and laterally stretch. And twist. And back to the deep resting squat. Grab your heel or your shin and twist. All right, see you on the next one.